Peace, loved ones. It's your boy P.O.P. That's right. We living passionately on purpose. And you already know what it is. You are now locked in to Riding with Purpose with my guy, One Purpose Mom. If you need inspiration, motivation, you just need some food for your soul and get ready for your week, this is the right place to be. So buckle up and let's ride.
Yo, what's up, everybody? You now tuned into another edition of Riding with Purpose. Appreciate that intro, POP. Hey guys, I know I said we was gonna get started at 9 o'clock, and I'm a stickler for time. But you know, things happen. But I think what makes make or break a person is their ability to push through no matter what's going on. And one of my favorite scriptures in the good book is Ecclesiastes 9:1. Race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but to the one that endured to the end. And like my guest today, one thing that he's always told me to do is dig the bottom out. Although adversity, trials, and tribulations come, you got to figure your way out of the situation. You got to push through. Giving up is not going to help, but pushing through leads to success. It leads to the victory. It leads to the chip. And so without further ado, I want to introduce somebody to you. My boy, Zeus Luby. I met this brother in 2002, 2003, I believe. I was introduced to him by my brother Carter Gass at AIU. And at the time, Zeus wasn't as buff as he is now. And he had long braids. And I think we connected. Something about the brother was just unique. And we connected. And later on, we linked back up. Maybe 10 or 12 years after that. And we just connected, man. Every time I bumped into this brother, it was just always a vibe there. Good, he was good people. And more than recently, I asked him to train me, to be my trainer. And then I never in my life had a trainer until I linked up with Zeus. And man, what I love about Zeus, man, is he ain't let me give up. He didn't let me give up in the midst of our trainings, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the interview. But you might have seen him in the Brian Banks movie. He's did a movie called Soul Searching, 3 girls. You probably seen him in a few videos, commercials. His fitness company, Olympian Physique. He's an entrepreneur, innovator, mentor, public speaker, author, with his book, The King's Guide to Appreciating Queens. I mean, this man, he's an all-around champion. And I'm proud to be able to link with this brother. As I told you, this platform, guys, is for me to bring people on that inspire, that motivate me, people that are of like-mindedness, and to share them with you guys, to hear their thought process, their mindset, and how they go on and take on the world. So I would like to present to you guys my boy, my partner, my trainer, Zeus Luby. Welcome to the Riding with Purpose show, bro.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely, man. We go jump right in, man. I know the people been waiting. Bro, you've conquered life from a mental and physical standpoint. When we met, I'm not sure where you are now is where you at then from a mental standpoint. And bro, what I love about a portion of your story is that you didn't let asthma beat you. And I want the people to, you told me this story, when we were working out. And I know you suffered with asthma early on. Bro, tell me, how did you beat asthma?
So, as I told you before, now my mother, she had asthma. She wrestled with asthma. So it was something that was pretty normalized in our family. My aunt had asthma and a few other family members. And the closest ones to me were my brother, my oldest brother, and my youngest sister, who also had asthma. So I grew up watching them struggle with it. And it was debilitating. It was a lot of things they couldn't do. a lot of physical limitations on their activities, sports they could play. My oldest brother, he actually he joined the football team in school, and he nearly died on the football field as a result of his asthmatic complications. And so after that, it was over for the organized sports for him. So it looked like it had skipped over me initially, but and I was super active, playing basketball, playing football, a little bit of boxing, um, you know, always outside. But when I turned 18, asthma just kind of hit me out of the blue. It hit me out of nowhere. And I found myself in the same position as my siblings and my other family members. And I was just devastated. Like, it blindsided me. I thought that I was so healthy and I was so fit and I was so active. I couldn't possibly, get asthma. And it proved me wrong. And so initially when it hit, I was having these coughing spells, these coughing fits, trying to catch my breath. And the first thing my family did was to offer me their medication. They were like, "Here you go. Join the club. It's time for you to, link up with us. I mean, now you're in the same boat as us." And I was infuriated. I was so upset. I was so angry. And I remember my mother trying to give me the medication, and I kind of swatted it away. I was like, "No, I'm not taking that." In the midst of me coughing and choking, and she was like, "Baby, don't do that. You're gonna hurt yourself. Don't struggle to breathe. Just take the medication." I was like, "I'm not taking that medication." You know, um, and my family was like, "Stop being so stubborn. It's just a part of life. It is what it is." And I was determined to overcome it. I was determined to prevent it from beating me and crippling me for the rest of my life. And so I started doing some studies. I started doing some research, studying the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, structure of the lungs and the air passages and so forth and so on. And based upon that research, I developed some breathing exercises to help calm my airways down when I had, an asthma attack. And those breathing exercises actually worked. So instead of taking the rescue inhaler, I would go to these breathing exercises, calm my body down. And so that gave me some relief, when I would have an episode. And then I did more research, and based upon my studies, I devised a plan to basically outrun my asthma by way of distance running. And so I said, well, if I strengthen my lungs through running, gradually increasing my distance and the intensity of my runs, I should be able to outpace my asthma. And so one of my neighbors, a buddy of mine up the street, his mother had an old raggedy treadmill that she wasn't using and it was broke. So I bought it off of him for like $30, bought the spare parts and fixed it, got it running. And then I jumped on it, and my plan was to start running indoors, build up my endurance, and then eventually move outside. So I ran on that treadmill for like 2 minutes the very first time, and I fell off. I was so exhausted, I was so winded. After that 2 minutes of running, I just kind of fell on the ground, huffing and puffing, trying to catch my breath. And as soon as I calmed down, I jumped back up and I jumped back on the treadmill. And I did that over and over and over, just pushing myself to the max, using my breathing exercises to relax my airways, whenever necessary through that process. And so, after a period of time of doing that, I was able to start going from, a few blocks to a mile, and then 2 miles, then 3 miles, and then 4 miles indoors. And so I was like, okay, now that I built up this endurance indoors, it's time for me to go outside because, of course, running outside is vastly different from running on a treadmill. On a treadmill, it's still taxing, but it's like you're trying to keep yourself from falling. But outside, you have to use your energy to propel yourself forward. So it takes more out of you. Not to mention, a lot of asthmatics, the environment, and for me, it was like cold air. Cold air was my biggest trigger. You didn't have other things like pollen and so forth and so on, but the environment, is harder on your lungs than, a cleaner, more controlled and indoor environment. So once I built up that endurance, I went outside and started running outside, and I hacked and I coughed and I spit, but I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and built my way up from blocks to miles, 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles. And eventually, after doing that over a period of weeks and months, I beat my asthma, and that was so it hit me, blindsided me at 18, and I beat it at 18, and I left it there.
Wow, bro, that's heavy, bro. That's heavy, man. I love that story, man. When you first told me, I was like, man, that's motivation for myself. And I think that's motivation for the people that's tuned in. I see Leanne in the building. Kia, I see you on IG. D1, I see you tapping in on Instagram. Man, hey, we broadcasting everywhere, guys. So make sure you share this broadcast out. I got my boy, my trainer, my mentor, Zeus, riding with purpose tonight. Bro, would you say that was the toughest time of your life, bro? Was beating asthma?
Now, when you say toughest, you mean as far as my physical fitness journey, or just in
Yes,
general?
as far as your physical fitness journey.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll say the most difficult period was 2014. 2014, I was a couple of my buddies had come in from town. They were college athletes, former sprinters and Olympic hopefuls. They had come in town. There's an annual track meet held at Georgia Tech, where former tech runners come and they, run in certain events and relay races and so forth and so on. So it's a big deal. And so my buddies came down. We normally meet up there for that. We watch the races. One of our buddies actually participates. So I was heading down into the city, coming down Ponce. Great day. You know what I mean? Everything is good. And as I was like coming down this hill, regular speed, this car just pulls out into the middle of the road. And because of the way the road is set up and the traffic at that moment, I couldn't swerve out of the way because there was a car next to me, and I was on the far left lane, so the other lane was oncoming traffic. So the car was crossing me, and coming across onto my left, and I T-boned the car, and I knocked that car across the street. And it ended up being an older lady, an older woman. She was trying to find the address to some place, and she just wasn't paying attention. She was looking up at the signage and just kind of cruising, and didn't realize she was coming from a side street into a main road. And so it was an unavoidable accident. I knocked her across the street, and as soon as the car stopped, I knocked her over onto the sidewalk. I jumped out. I like to, busted my door open, jumped out the car, and ran over to her car to check on who was in the vehicle, to see if they were okay. Um, and she was trapped in the car because I hit her on her driver's side. So I had to like rip her car door open and take her out of the vehicle. Her car was total, my car was total, and I injured my back in that accident. I didn't feel that at the time due to my adrenaline, but I woke up the next morning in agony. And so I ended up having to get an MRI, and I herniated 3 discs, and went to the doctor. And the doctor was like, "Yeah, I have some terrible news for you." She said, "You really tore your back up." And she said, I know you're a trainer. I know you're a distance runner. You like lifting heavy. So what I'm about to tell you is basically a death sentence, to you,
Wow.
but you won't ever lift heavy again, and you won't ever run again. She said, I'm sorry. She said, I actually had a similar injury and I had to give up running. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I know that it's terrible news, but I ride my bike now. So we're in the same boat. And I was devastated, not lifting heavy, not running
Yeah.
again. Like that's life. That's what I do. And so that was a low point, as you can imagine, for me. And and I asked extensive questions to make sure I had a good understanding of exactly what my dilemma was, exactly what my condition was, the subtleties and the nuances of our health conditions, our wounds, our injuries. All of that has to be combed through to make sure we know what our restrictions are, our limitations, and what our potential for recovery is. And so, had I just left it at that and
Mm.
went home and tried to start adjusting to my new reality, that would have changed the trajectory of my life. But before I left, I said, wait, so let me make sure I understand something. Understand this. I have three herniated discs. And so explain that process to me. So she explained that there's fluid in the discs. And when the discs are ruptured and herniated, the fluid spills out into other parts of the back. And that fluid leaking out, that fluid is what inflames that area, whatever area it touches. It just sets it on fire. It's like lava. And uh, once the fluid is out, the disc is done. It's gone. You know what I mean? You can have some, surgeries to fuse other discs together, things like that, vertebrae and so forth. But the discs are done. Once they're done, they're done. So I said, all right. So once all the fluid is out, the pain is going to stop. Am I to understand that? She was like, yeah. I said, so are you telling me that I can't run, I can't lift, or I will further damage my back and tear my spine up? She said, no, I'm not saying that. She was like, I mean, you can do that stuff if you can deal with the pain. I said, okay, so you're telling me that I can work through the pain and I won't be further damaging my structure. She said, basically. I said, okay, all right. And so to spite, now she didn't recommend it, of course, and she said the pain was going to be excruciating, but she said that it could be done. And so I said, all right, that's all I need to know. As long as I know that what I'm doing is not going to damage my body, tear my spine up, and have me crippled, I can work through pain. I don't care how bad the pain is. So when I left her office, to spite her, to fly in the face of her diagnosis of you'll never do these things again, which I think was professionally reckless. I went right to Stone Mountain and I ran 5 miles, pain and all. I was in agony, but I ran that 5 miles. You know what I mean? Just to start my process of recovery. And so from that day forward, over a period of about a year, I slowly rehabbed my back and I had to start from scratch with everything. Everything was super light, and this is another aspect of proper recovery. I tell people all the time, when you go to the gym, you work your muscles, not your ego, because your ego will get you injured. You work your muscles, you'll play it safe, you'll be respectful to your body, you'll respect the weights in the gym. But if you work your ego, you're eventually going to make a mistake and do something foolish that you'll regret. So when a lot of guys, when they need to recover, when they're nursing an injury, you're supposed to take it light, take it easy. But a lot of guys, when they get in the gym, they can't just, lay under the bench and do something light. They can't just curl something light, squat something light. They get in there, they feel like everybody is looking at them and they're seeing other people do weight that they're used to doing. They're like, man, I could do that. You know, they feel like a silent, unspoken challenge and say, you know what, let me just add a little bit more weight. And then boom, you've exacerbated your injury or you know, made something worse or tore yourself up. Now you got to have surgery. I don't care about none of that. You know, I'm so grateful just for basic functionality because a lot of people don't have that. When I went into the gym to recover, I took my time and I took it light. I wasn't worried about who cared, you know, who was, ooh, look how light the weight is on the bench. I don't care about that. I didn't care about any of that. So I started from scratch. And over a period of a year, I worked my way back up to my full power. So 2015, around that same time, I was running at the same speed, the same distance, 5, 10, 15 miles at a time, and lifting just as heavy as I was prior to the accident. You know what I mean? So that period of being told that I was going to lose my ability to run and lose my ability to lift heavy, that was the worst period, you know, facing that down and work through that process.
Man, guys, I hope you are catching the nuggets. This brother's dropping tonight. You gonna have to go back and watch this because he's dropping some nuggets that you can apply to every area of your life tonight. I promise, whatever situation or circumstances you guys are experiencing, man, push through the pain. No matter what anybody around you is saying, push through the pain. Push through that moment because on the other side is where the victory is going to be. On the other side is where you go get your breakthrough. So push through it.
Right.
Notice what he said. It took him a year to recover. That requires patience. So not only while you pushing, you got to be patient while you pushing. You got to be patient.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying this tonight, bro. Now, bro, when we train, bro, you mentioned something. When the doctor gave you that diagnosis, you immediately shut it down. Bro, in our training, I noticed you talk to me more about mindset than the actual physicality of it. Bro, why is mindset so important, bro? Just in the everyday life, bro. Even compared to working out on your job and your situation, why is mindset so key, bro? Why do you push mindset so much?
Because, you know, perspective is can be our greatest ally or our greatest enemy. And a lot of things, you know, of course, how we perceive situations determines how we feel about them. You know, how we the angle in which we look at a particular situation, a circumstance, a hardship, that determines how we approach it, how we feel about it, the energy we put into it. You know what I mean? You know, there's some people who, you know, for simplistic examples, you know, I remember this kid in high school. His parents were well off, and his parents bought him a BMW or something. You know what I mean? A fairly new
Mhm.
BMW, and he had a fit. I mean, he flipped out. He was mad. Now, mind you, at the time, I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford a car. My family couldn't afford to get me a car. You know what I mean? And that wasn't really a thing because, you know, in my world, in my sphere, you know, you get cars when you're grown. You know what I mean? Like, you're in high school, you don't need a car. You know what I mean? So the fact that he was even getting a car was a big deal to me. But when he said he, you know, kicked up dust about getting a BMW because he wanted an Impala or something like that. That was the popular car back at that time. He wanted an Impala, and he kicked up dust until they took the car back and got him what he really wanted. So perception is from that young man's position, his viewpoint, he was having a real issue. Like that was a real problem for him that he didn't get the car that he wanted. Follow what I'm saying? From another person's vantage point, which would be the vast majority of the population, there wouldn't be a problem because of the way we perceive the situation. You follow me? So
Yeah.
you have some people out here who would be in tears if somebody donated a jalopy, like a just a raggedy car that just works. Because I was in that position when my daughter was about to be born, and me and her mom were on foot everywhere. We'd be walking to the bus stop, and I'd be carrying Zeta, carrying my daughter in the car seat, you know what I mean, for miles, because at the time we didn't have a stroller. So I would switch arms. We'd be out and I'd be switching arms back and forth, walking for blocks. And so her uncle, I started working for her uncle. He said, you know what? I'm gonna give you this car. You can work for me to work it off. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to take care of your child. I respect that. Man, it was an old school car, needed some work, whatever. That was like, to me, that was like a Rolls Royce. You know what I mean? That's how I saw it. That's how I perceived it. So I can't imagine being in that position and somebody saying, you know what, I'm gonna buy you, my parents saying, I'm gonna buy you a BMW. You follow what I'm saying? So how we perceive situations determines what kind of energy we approach it with, what kind of energy we put into it. So things that may seem like major issues or problems, they may not be that bad. Most times they're not that bad. You have some things that, like if you have even some people that have diseases like cancer and terminal cancer where they're given a limited time to live, you'll see some of those people phenomenally positive. They're like, hey, I just got to make the most of it while I'm here. Going through pain, going through chemo, clinging to life from day to day. They're more positive, more upbeat than people out here who aren't sick, who have a great place to live in, friends, family members, perfect health, and they're complaining about other minor things. You know what I mean? Minor
Yeah.
complications. Somebody saying, you know what? I was supposed to take a vacation, and 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 I can't take the vacation because of the coronavirus, and they're genuinely upset. It's also okay to be disappointed. Say, I really want to take that trip, but some people really feel like I'm being deprived because I was supposed to be in Cancun or over in London, and this pandemic has robbed me of my life. No, the person with terminal cancer has robbed them of their lives. Nothing robbed you of your life. You know what I mean? You just missed out on a top tier amenity. You know what I mean? That a lot of people haven't even left the country, haven't left the state that they live in, haven't left the hood that they grew up in. You know what I mean? So perception is key when approaching anything from jobs, relationship complications, financial issues, and definitely when it comes to physical fitness. If your mind is not in the right space, if you're focused on how difficult it is to work out, I'm so tired, my energy is so low, this is so difficult, it burns. If you focus all your time, your energy on how difficult it is, then you won't ever make progress. But if you go into the situation saying, of course I'm going to sweat, of course I'm going to be winded, of course my muscles are going to burn, but the result is I'm going to be healthier, live a longer life. The quality of my life is going to be severely improved. You know what I mean? Tremendously improved. My sex life is going to be boosted. You know what I mean? Like if I'm single, I'm going to be more marketable. If I'm in a relationship, my partner is going to be happy that I'm in better shape. The benefits of getting in shape are infinite. You know what I'm saying? But if you focus
Yeah.
on the handful of, what obstacles, minor obstacles that everybody has to deal with, then you'll never get in shape. You might not even start the journey because you're like, no, I'm not into that sweating. I'm not into being tired. It takes so long. It takes so long. You dedicate 1 hour a day to working out. Your favorite show, you'll burn an hour. Your favorite basketball game, you'll burn 2, 3 hours on that. So it starts in the mind. So anybody that, if you're just trying to get somebody in shape by educating them on exercises, that's not enough. Because if that was the only issue, if they had the mindset to work out, they would already be in decent shape. You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't even need you. So it starts in the mind, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I noticed in our first training session, you you wasn't motivating me. You wasn't inspiring me, but it felt like you was trying to kill me out there. I remember I was gasping for air, ready to throw up, and I'm looking at you, and you like, go ahead and get it out. Let's go. Let's go. I finished doing the run. I'm stretched out. All right, get you a breather, get you a sip of water. Let's go. And what I learned
Keep it
from you,
going.
bro, what I learned from you that I had to stop looking at you for the results, and I had to look at me. I had to look at me, bro, and I had to figure out how to push myself. Why is it important to stay disciplined, bro? Why is it important to have that repeat cycle of discipline throughout your life? It could be working out, just with anything. Why is it important to stay disciplined?
Because that structure, that discipline is dedication, dedication to any particular path that you're on. You know what I mean? And so let's say you're trying to make it to a certain location. Like you leave your house, you say, all right, I got to drive 6 hours to get to this destination, right? So it takes dedication to that journey to get to that destination in that 6 hours to get there in a decent amount of time. But if you get distracted, right? If you don't stay dedicated to the journey, right? And you say, you know what? You're driving, you see something on the side of the highway. Ooh, let me check that store out. You go over there, you spend, 45 minutes there, get back on the road. You driving, you see something else, right? Or you get a little tired. You know what? Let me stop over here. Let me take a nap. All right, you take a nap for an hour, right? Then you get back on the road. Then you driving again, you get hungry. You know what? You don't want snacks. You want a whole meal. You pull over, you stop at a nice restaurant. That takes you an hour and a half. Get back on the road. And then you do that throughout the whole trip. So that 6 hour trip has turned into a 12-hour trip. Now, whatever you had to do within that period of time, you can't do because you took so long to get there. And that's the same thing with many things in life. Like let's say you want to, step into a certain profession. So you go to school. All right, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get my degree. College is gonna take me 4 years. All right, during that 4 year period, you know what? You know what I'm saying? You want a break. So you take a break from school. Boom, you say, you know what, I'm gonna take a few months off. I'm gonna take a semester off. That semester turns into a whole year. And you get back in, you start doing it again. You know what I mean? And so you in school, you dating, all right, boom, man. You date somebody, you get somebody pregnant, boom, they had a baby. All right, you take a little break from school again so that you can focus on your family. You know what I mean? All right, boom. Then that's what, 2 years off. Then you go back to school. You know what I mean? So now you're juggling school. Now you can't do a full load. You got to do partial because you got a family to take care of. So now you have to take a little longer. Your graduation time is getting pushed further and further and further back. You know what I mean? So you eventually graduate, but that 4 year period turned into 8 years, 9 years. You know what I mean? So did you get that degree? And now you have to start trying to get a job. And the market is not the same as it was during your earlier projections. So your goal is pushed way down the line. You can apply the same thing to fitness. You get in, tighten your diet up, stay consistent in the gym, stick to your program, right? And you say, give yourself a year and a half to get in the kind of shape you want. Well, you start working out, and then you start looking a little good. You like, you know what I mean? I'm doing all right. I can take a little break. Take a break, turns into 6 months. You come back, jump back on the journey. You know what I mean? All right, I'm back in it. I'm in it for real this time. All right, boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? All right. Then you get a little distracted. You mess up on your diet. Okay, now you got to push that I'm gonna be in shape date a little further back because you took a break from the diet. You still working out, but the diet ain't proper. All right, you get the diet back on track. But then you stop going to the gym as much. You know what I mean? You dating somebody new, they taking your time, you know what I mean? So, you eating right, you know what I'm saying? You're doing your meal prep, but you ain't getting to the gym because you spending quality time over here. You follow me? So now you're pushing that thing back. So that year and a half has turned into 4 years because you've been so distracted. You haven't been dedicated. You haven't been disciplined. So discipline helps you get to where you're trying to go faster in an efficient manner. a quicker time. If you're just disciplined, you stay focused, you keep all the components locked in place for an extended period of time, you can get to your destination, then you can play. You follow me? But if you slip on that discipline, you're going to turn that 1 year journey into a 5 year journey, that 4 year journey into a 9 year journey, and so forth and so
Yeah, most definitely, bro. Um, with discipline comes change behavior, and that can be easy to do, or it can be real hard to do. And bro, social media has allowed us as people, man, to take on other folks' problems. You know what I mean? When I look at your life, bro, even during the time I've known you, you've always seemed locked in. And I don't know if you want to touch on this, but I know there was a time you was in a fight to get full custody of your daughter. How were
on.
you able at that even then, bro, to still stay locked in with all of your commitments and still fight for that battle, fight to get her full time, bro? How were you able to still stay locked in?
Well, that comes from having good habits in place prior to that. Just like we just talked about it with discipline. I started working out, officially at 14, and at the time that I was fighting for custody, I had just stepped into my 20th year. No, no, not my 20th year. Was that fast forward? Like 26, 26. So at that time, I'd had a history of discipline. You know what I mean? Being able to be laser focused on a task, you know what I mean? And wholly dedicated to whatever it is I was doing, basically pouring myself into lifting other people up while I was still going through whatever personal issues I had. That was another thing that kind of primed me and prepped me for how I functioned through my custody battle because, I came up hard, came up in rough environments, jumped through a lot of hoops, had some bumps and bruises and some hard knocks. But no matter what I went through, I always continued to encourage other people, continued to help other people, even financially. If I had $5 to my name and my man came to me and said, Yo, listen, I need $2. I'm like, all right, boom, you got it. Here's $2. I still got three. You know what I mean? It ain't much, but I still have something. So when I went through that custody battle, of course, that was my lowest point, my most difficult point. Um, I had that habit of still staying focused on whatever it is I had going on, staying in shape, because of course, your physical health, your physical wellness is connected to your emotional and psychological wellness. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
some people don't know that. Other people hear it and it's kind of cliche, like, yeah, 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 whatever. But, you know, that has a huge impact on how you function from day to day, your mental and emotional clarity, what you put in your body, what you're eating on a daily basis also has a lot to do with your mental functionality, your clarity, the sharpness of your mind. So having these good habits in place, and having that dedication to my goals as well as helping other people helped me to stay able to multitask and stay dedicated to these different things, even in the midst of my hardship and my difficult time. So a lot of people, well, most people, had no idea I was going through anything of that magnitude because I stayed the same. I didn't become sullen. I didn't become, reclusive or depressed or, I could, like not being able to function socially from day to day. I maintain in all of my areas, and that comes from a particular set of, like disciplines that I had in place leading up to that particular battle.
That's good, man. Um, Bro, I admire your journey. Leanne said this journey is a whole book in that. I know. I can't wait to see the documentary series of Zeus. Later on in life, I'm like, man, I know that, but hey, look, just give me a small portion where you just wear me out outside working out, bro.
All right, I
Hey,
got
look,
you.
I
I
remember.
remember you said that now.
Look, I
Let
remember
me
when I
say
said,
that.
bro, bro, remember, I said, you think we should work out in the gym or we should do outside? You said, let's work outside. Let's work outside. But why you had me work out outside, man. And I'm very appreciative of that. You know, there are people in our lives, man, impact us positively or negatively. And I'm curious to know, bro, you talk about mindset, how physical fitness has really, your life in so many areas. Who inspired you, bro, along the journey, and how did they have a huge impact on you, man?
And when you say inspire me, you mean for my physical pursuits, my fitness
Just
pursuits?
not physically, bro, just as a whole, mind, body, and soul, bro. Who impacted you? You had to have somebody impact you or just touch you in a way to make you want to keep going, to keep fighting, and keep pushing. Because you know we do have that engine, that motor that pushes us. But I know there is also people in our lives that help keep us going as well. Who is that, and how have they impacted?
Well, I tell you, there was a bit of a lack, a void that really was my primary fuel. Um, when I was younger, I think everybody when they're young, they're looking for that hero, even if it's not put into that term, they're looking for that person that they can look up to and admire in real life, and a lot of people don't have that. So that's why a lot of people turn to um, athletes and cartoon characters and comic book characters, fictitious individuals, people from TV shows and movies, because they don't see anything in real life that really embodies that hero that they want. Somebody who's virtuous, somebody who's selfless, somebody who's strong mentally, emotionally, and physically, somebody who has strong moral fortitude and so forth and so on. A lot of people don't have that in real life. A lot of times, from what I've come to find, a lot of people have the opposite. They have a lot of negative figures around them, which is why a lot of people go down negative paths because all they see is negativity. And I had my mom, I loved her, had a lot of love for her, um, but I didn't have any particular figure that I was like, man, I'm trying to be. That's who I want to be. That's who I'm modeling myself after. And so, what that pushed me to do was I wanted to become the hero that I didn't have. I wanted to build myself into the hero I didn't see. You know what I mean? Because I of course, I saw the fictitious characters, you know what I mean? And I was in tune enough to know that, of course, some things you can't do in real life. You can't fly and so forth and so on. So I was very logical. But I knew that I could components from these different people could combine to make a real person. A real person could be all these things: intelligent, mentally strong, emotionally strong, selfless, brave, physically strong, you know what I mean? Good character. The person who's faced with the opportunity to be corrupt, faced with temptation but turns it down, because they choose the higher road. Even though I didn't see that in real life in anybody, all those components, I knew that it could be in one person. So I spent my life's journey trying to build that person within myself. So when I would meet somebody, male or female, no matter the age, if they had a positive component that I didn't have, I would mimic that component. I would study that component, and then I would make it my own, and until it became a part of me, and I added it to my character repertoire. And so I would do that over the years. So when I would meet somebody, I would get to know them, and I would dissect them, and I would pull their personalities apart, kind of like a car. I would, dismantle them and look at the components and see if there was anything that I needed that I could use. If there was nothing there, then I'd keep going. But if they could have 100 unsavory or useless characteristics and one good one that I didn't have, and I would mimic that, you know. And so that's what I've been doing my entire life. And I'm still doing it to this day. Anytime I meet a person, I'm learning from them, no matter the age, and I'm pulling them apart, no matter the religious background or the creed, the color, the nationality, the political views. None of that stuff matters when I'm dissecting the person, because there may be something in them that's good that I don't have. And so that's what has me on this journey. That's why I am the way I am, because I'm constantly trying to become and remain that heroic figure that I was looking for when I was a child, because I want to provide that for other people.
That's deep, man. I see POP on the check-in. I love the way you put that together, because you just broke it down in such a way for people that feel like, man, I love it. For people that feel like, man, I ain't got nobody. It's just me. And here it is, a real life example of how you pieced and pasted everything, bro. That's awesome, man. Bro, just off the record,
I appreciate it.
what how has your daughters' lives, how has their lives impacted you to go harder? I know you go hard. How has their existence pushed you to want to go even harder?
Oh man, that's as I mean, motivation is motivation, fuel is fuel. But like when you have a child that you love, children that you love, that you want to, you know, provide with a life that you feel they deserve, opportunities that they deserve, protection, what I mean, that they deserve. It creates a drive unlike anything else can create. It can't be understood or mimicked in any other arena. It's not like working for a sibling. It's not like, grinding for a parent, or a friend or a wife or anything like that, a spouse, a companion. There's nothing like when you love your child properly, because there's a lot of people that don't love their children properly. So a lot of people that look like they don't love their kids at all. But when you love your child with like that top tier, pure love that they deserve, right? That they were meant to have, it motivates you in a way that nothing else will. And so I was already driven to achieve and do certain things. But when my baby girl, my first baby girl, when she came, it was like, that's it. Like the games are over. I had other aspirations, like, trying to play ball, um, you know, getting into to modeling and all types of other things that I was already involved in. But all of my personal pursuits, I put them to the side. That's it. That's over with. Can I see some fathers? They're like, well, listen, I had just had a child, but I still got to do this. I still got to do that. I'm still trying to do this. So, I'll swing back around, or I'll be here as much as I can be, but I got to do this over here. I can't wrap my mind around that. You know what I mean? Like whether it was planned or unplanned, once you have a child, that child should be your top priority. And so when my daughter came, I was like, okay, now I got to tighten up. Now I have to slam on the gas. I was tapping the gas and I was driving, but now I got to put the pedal to the floor so that I can achieve my goals as quickly as possible. I have to get to these places, these destinations, because I got to take my baby where she needs to go. So it multiplied, my drive many times over, because I wanted to give her the life she deserved, the life that I never had. I wanted to inform her, give her information that I didn't have when I was young. So it caused me to do more research, to study, to get involved in things that I wasn't involved in for my own benefit, because I was like, all right, let me make sure that there's nothing I'm missing. I don't want her to be hobbled or crippled or limited because I didn't teach her, because that's your responsibility. It's not the child's responsibility to teach themselves. We're supposed to educate them on as much as we possibly can, because what I always say to people is whatever you don't teach your child, whatever lessons you miss, the world is going to teach your child. And the world is a cruel teacher. You want to minimize what the world teaches your child, because the world doesn't care about them. The world is not going to do it, with love and kindness. The world is just going to, blindside them, run them over, hit them with a bus, drop them on their head, lay down the hammer. So I've been scrambling to teach my girls as much as I can think, and that requires you as a parent to start educating yourself. Your children should know about politics. If you don't know about politics, it's time for you to learn. You know what I mean? If you want your children to be healthy, if you're not healthy, it's time for you to get healthy. You have to lead by example. You can't lead in hypocrisy. You can't say, all right, listen, you know, you need to start eating healthy and working out. And they're like, well, you ain't eating healthy, you ain't working out. Don't worry about that. I told you to do it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what I'm doing. You can't lead like that. You can't say, listen, you need to be out here voting and making sure that you make your voice heard. And say, well, do you vote? Well, no, I don't vote. I'm not really registered. So why are you telling me to vote? Well, look, because I want you to. All that questioning. Just do what I tell you to do. So you have to lead by example. So that requires you to, pick up the pace, step up your game. And so that's what I've been trying to do with my girls, you know, push myself so that what I learn I can give to them. And there's you will always be able to do that, but there's nothing like that period where your child is like right there up under you. Like that's the best time to teach them as much as you possibly can when they're still under your wing. Because once they're out there, that's when they're gonna start learning on their own. So if you whatever you missed, they're gonna learn it the hard way.
Yeah, man, bro. I thank you for your time tonight, bro. This has been very, very impactful and educational, especially for me, bro. Real quick, tell me this. Tell the people just your schedule in a 24-hour day. Just give me your tomorrow. What does your 24-hour day look like?
Tomorrow. So I'll wake up about four something, five something in the morning so that I can start training my first clients. So I'll knock out a few clients, that'll be over, 2, 3 hour period. Um, and then I'll work out. I'll get the first part of my workout in. I'll hit the gym hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, then leave from there, get cleaned up, and then I'll have some life coaching to do. Deal with my life coaching clients, and then I have some mentoring to do. Talk to my mentees, connect with them, make sure everything's okay with them. Service their needs. They might need to have a conversation about something. Then I have to get the second part of my workout in, which is the cardio, which is the running, aspect of it. Then after I get done with that, I'll clean up. Then I have more clients to take care of. After that, then I have some work to do in a nonprofit organization that I help to run. Some administrative work. Send out some emails, make some calls, connect with the board members. From there, I might do a little bit of cooking depending upon the day. And then I'll spend some quality time with my baby girl. And that's how I'll close off the night. Make sure her homework is solid. And she and I will, cuddle up and watch something together, or we'll engage in some educational aspect. Because she does her own personal research, so we'll talk about what she learned throughout the day. Or might have an audition. If I have an audition, she and I, for her, we'll run lines together, and then we'll shoot the audition, or I'll shoot my audition. So that's normally how an average day goes. It's personal training, it's life coaching, it's mentoring, it's fitness, and it's quality time with my baby girl.
For sure. How can the people find you, bro?
You can find me on Facebook, Zeus Luby, ZeusLuby. You can find me on Instagram, Zeus Luby. You can find me on Twitter, Zeus Luby. Still adjusting to the Twitter thing, but you can find me on there. So I tell you what you do. This is how you can find me. You go Zeus Luby, all right? Go to Google, put in Zeus Luby, you'll find everything you need to know, everything about me.
No doubt, man. And I definitely encourage you if you're trying to really get back in your fitness journey, this is the guy to link up with. He's not gonna just get you
Come
ready for
on.
right now. If he ain't gonna get you ready for right now, he gonna get you ready for later too. Some of the same principles that he instilled in me in my first few workouts, I'm applying them to every aspect of my life, to the point of exhaustion, to the point where I can't give no more. I'm talking with anything I do. Whenever I feel like I'm about to give up, that means I need to keep scraping the bottom. Y'all know how y'all do that food when y'all eating and y'all trying to get the corners,
Yeah.
y'all
Ew,
scraping
nothing
them
in there.
corners out. So I encourage you guys, man, link up with my brother on the fitness tip, life coaching, mentorship, whatever you need, man. This brother is just a wealth of knowledge and information. Bro, thank you for your time, man. I thoroughly enjoyed our talk tonight, man.
Man, it's been an honor, brother. I appreciate you. It's always good connecting with you. Always been positive from the day we connected, nonstop all the way through, man. I always appreciate that spirit, that energy, that positivity, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And I had a fantastic time. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. You guys been tuned into another edition of Riding with Purpose with my boy, Zeus Luby. We'll talk with y'all in a minute. Peace. Gone.